A giant opening in the ground that leads infinitely deep appears on a remote part of the world. Investigations reveal that it is extremely dangerous and contains substances unknown to humans at the time, and untold riches that are to be discovered and recovered from it. What do you think the world would do? This is the premise to Akihito Tsukushi's MadeinAbyss. This show has been described as the ultimate cute bait show that will draw you in with its cute illustrations, charming characters, and this thing, and drag you down, quite literally, into its depths. MadeinAbyss is a show that can be terrifyingly alluring, and while it is the ultimate prank you can pull on a friend who exclusively watches Eurocamp, the true appeal of the story comes from the insanely good world building. It begins with introducing to us a mystery box. This is a pretty common trait in storytelling that involves a central mysterious element that leaves the audience wanting an answer. Although mystery boxes can be incredibly powerful as a plot device, the actual implementation of them can make or break a plot. An example of a great mystery box is the basement of Attack on Titan or the Void Century in One Piece. When they used certain places, or in some cases information that will be stated early and provide the audience with something to look forward to. MadeinAbyss's mystery box is however done in a little bit different way. The entire story of MadeinAbyss is centralized around its mystery box. This is to the point where some even argue if this can be considered a mystery box. But it can. And this is due to the beautifully crafted world that plays perfectly into the role of surprising an audience constantly and continuously. I am not going to spoil the plot for you in this video, because if you need to go watch it if you haven't. What I am going to do though is, as I do with a lot of these videos, is to talk about the artistic elements of this world. How do you draw and design, build a world to generate intrigue? You see things like the massive expanses of video game lore and maps like Elden Ring and The Witcher, but the way this story tackles world building is a lot different from those stories. Lore is almost a secondary element to MadeinAbyss. Centrally, what it does is treating the audience as if it is a part of the exploration. It feels so simple, you barely notice yourself getting drawn into all the scenic layers of the abyss. The central element of the story is by definition a massive hole in the ground. The abyss. This is further made digestible by sectioning it. There are mesmerizing creatures, evil tyrants, powerful allies, and even more interestingly, structures and worlds that constantly break the limit of what you thought was possible. It is almost impossible to imagine the next layer of the abyss without actually seeing it. If you read or watched the show, you know exactly what I mean. We are introduced to the known structures of the abyss in the first episode, very early on. And while the abyss was inspired by Buddhist beliefs and the layers of hell, the image that we're given presents to us an end goal. The abyss itself is a representation of the lesson humanity should learn but refuses to. Rico and Reg, our main characters, are the embodiment of naivety. They're literally just kids. And the journey it takes to grow as people, through hardship, discovery, love, and most importantly curiosity, is the driving force behind MadeinAbyss. It is why they descend. That and also the curse that kills you. The world of the abyss, the art of it, caters to this idea. Let's look at the world building in a more artistic lens. The first introduction to the abyss is actually from the city that was built around it. When I first saw this gigantic structure and its massive scale, I thought how fitting it is to include something like this in the gateway to the abyss. It reminds me of a bustling city in the real world where it looks like buildings give birth to more buildings, like they are some sort of massive, bricky, rectangular superorganism that spreads to every patch of nothingness it can find. This may sound extensive, but when you think about how many cultures have beliefs settled around moving to the biggest city they can find to make the most money, this is exactly what would happen if the abyss appeared in the real world. And artistically, it is captured in the best way possible. The first layer of the abyss feels a lot like the first level of an RPG, where you farm for points, kill pigs or something, and given its low risk, low reward theme and bland diversity, it is designed to be the perfect invitation for someone to take that one small step that pulls you down too deep. Moving past the edge of the abyss, however, is when it gets interesting. Although I will only cover specific locations in this video as to not spoil when and where things appear, because I think you definitely need to watch this show if you haven't. So let's take a few examples from the anime that's out so far and try to find what makes them so interesting. One of my favorite settings in the anime is this area, which for obvious reasons is called the Goblet of Giants. This is one of the most effective ways I think I've ever seen of creating scale in a location that we haven't previously seen. Although you zoom into each individual goblet, and although you have context of how big this place is supposed to be from the map that we were presented with earlier, the scale never really leaves you, no matter how much you zoom in. And with the context, it shows how well the world of the story is really crafted. Chances are, even a first-time watcher of the series never actually lost track of where the action was taking place, which is very rare, especially in fight scenes, where you often get caught up in the action and forget where the action is actually taking place, to the point where it sometimes doesn't make sense when some things happen that interact with the location. But this fight, this particular sequence of events that happen here are perfectly complemented by the design of this area, where it almost never feels like you're fighting in a zoomed in environment while the rest of the world is disconnected from it. This almost entirely feels like an expansive arena that is far too big for the characters to be in it. The next area I wanted to cover is the Forest of Temptation. This area of the abyss, this shot in particular, is designed so well that it is almost single-handedly the thing that convinced me this would be an interesting ride. The wide shot in particular is very well cast. It captures everything there is to capture in the audience's interest. The thing that this layer does, in my opinion, is create a sense of doom. Everything in this area, from its flora to the wildlife, is designed to be something that eludes things further to come. From the terrifying things that happen in this particular area to the wildlife that is adapted to it. This perfectly leads into the next layer that we encounter eventually, and progressively makes it seem like the danger of the world is increasing. The Great Fold is one of the most unique places in the abyss. From what we've seen so far, while it doesn't have much diversity, the world is still designed rich enough to justify the immediate feeling of doom. The pit that looks to lead infinitely down is still made less bland by cleverly creating an ecosystem around it. Specific animals and even specific structures where the animals burrow, with relics and locations that do a lot to keep the landscape itself interesting, but artistically, what it does is it never loses its instability. One of my favorite things set-wise is this ship that is stuck to the wall. It creates so much intrigue just by being there. How did it get there and on whose command? These are the kind of questions that a story should ask. Or should prompt the viewer to ask. And to this day, we have no idea how it got there, but because the story is so well done, you also know that there is a reason for it being there. The Sea of Corpses is one of the more generic layers of the Abyss, in which the world building doesn't really get explored as much due to the plot that takes place in a structure rather than the Abyss itself. This aside, the thing that the art and design of this layer does brilliantly is setting up a sense of brittleness. The name of the Sea of Corpses comes from the barren landscape that consists of large bones and mud on a large sea. While this location does get as much attention as the other ones on how large it is visually, the story focuses more on the important factor of the bones and the mud that crumbles at any time. The atmosphere it sets is perfect for where the story is at this point, with all its prickly bones pointing towards the imminent threat. With that, I think I've said enough. MadeinAbyss, in my opinion, is a series that captures something a lot of stories try to do and fail. To quote the OGs themselves, when you read a good story, you're terrified of what you don't know. But you're also filled with the hunger for knowledge. That is what makes you read the story. The world of the Abyss is designed to feed you. And with its beautiful OST and awe-inspiring scale of the world, it does exactly that and more. MadeinAbyss recently got renewed for a second season. After the absolute riot that was the movie last year, it certainly deserves it. I hope the second season brings as much intrigue to the mystery of the Abyss and as much artistic flair and reason as it did with the first. I've been reading the MadeinAbyss manga for a while because I simply couldn't hold myself from knowing what happens next. But I would actually advise you not to read the manga right now. I really hope you watch it when it comes out. It's coming out in the next month, and I really, really hope more people get to experience this amazing story. It may be kind of difficult to watch at times. It is certainly a lot different from a lot of stories that we're used to, simply because of its art style and the way it's drawn and the age of the characters. But MadeinAbyss, in my opinion, is genuinely one of the best series of its genre, and I certainly hope it gets the praise it deserves.